Hello and welcome to my live stream. Hopefully we are live and everyone can hear me and we're all good. Let me just check that things are apparently working. I think sound's coming through. I think we are all good. So how is everyone? So on today's live show, some more about some of the robots and things that I'm playing with. No sound. Apparently no sound works. So let's hello, and let's see if there's got sound now. No sound is coming through. What have I done wrong? Testing sound. Hello, and let's check for sound. We have some sound coming through, but it's a bit soft, I'm told. Let me see if I can work out what's going wrong and how I have sound problems this week. So what is going on? Why have we got sound issues? I don't know. Let's have another look. I don't know why I've got quite so many sound problems. Let's go and check and see what my Mac says is going on. And Yeti, how's that? Any sound coming through at this point? Okay, I am told it is all fine now, so we will go with that. Thank you, and sorry about whatever that was that we got at the start. Anyway, so let's go back to the beginning. So on today's live show, a bit more of a chat about some of my robots, some displays I've been working with and playing with, and some exciting rumours as well that I hear in the news. So hi, I'm John, your concierge to the world of the Raspberry Pi Pico, IoT, robotics and other fun tech. And welcome to my channel. And this is my live stream, slightly more relaxed, with sometimes slightly more technical problems. If you look at the world of the Raspberry Pi Pico and other exciting tech as I see it. If it's your first time watching, then welcome and thank you very much for joining. If you're returning, then that's great and I appreciate it. And please do like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. So, what's going on? Let me just make sure I'm on live chat so I can see if anyone raises anything or says hi. So, how are you all? How's life going? I hope you're keeping well. Hope projects are going well. Mine certainly are. They're keeping me busy. I've been busy getting a new course out there on this exciting world of web services, as well as working on some of the other content for my site and getting out there and about and doing some visits up to some shows and running stuff locally as well, which is all good. So for those of you who don't know, I'm based in Brighton in the UK area, and we've just started a new makers group in this area called, what do we call it? Breaking Breadboards. It's all good and all fun stuff. And sorry, I'm just trying to play with the camera a bit. So all good, and that was fun. That was great getting that off the ground and seeing where we are. So what am I going to talk about today? What's today's agenda? Well, I'm going to use the same agenda I've used for the last couple of these sessions. So it's around what's in the news around the Picos, or what I'm hearing around the Picos and things going on that I think are interesting and exciting. My project updates around some of the projects that I'm working on, I haven't got a great deal of projects to share from GitHub around other people's stuff this time, but perhaps next time in June. If you've got something, let me know, and I can make sure that we mention it. And a bit about what's next on Dr. John EA YouTube site, and finally Q&A. So let's get going. So what's in the news around the wonderful world of Pico RP2040s and other exciting tech? Well, actually there is some quite exciting rumours. I came across, and it's been reported in a few places, some news from Eben Upton from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, or Raspberry Pi CEO. He was speaking at the Cambridge Raspberry Jam and hinted at some potential new products coming out this year. And one of them would appear to be a successor to the RP2040. His comment was, we know what people don't like about the RP2040. It could have more RAM, it could have more GPIO, and we know what people do like, the PIO, and we have a chip team. So that sounds really exciting. A successor to the RP2040. Certainly, from the projects I've been working on personally over the last 2 or 3 weeks, more RAM would really help. I have really been struggling a little bit with only 260k of RAM, trying to do some stuff with graphics. It would be fabulous to have more graphics and to have more RAM available for projects doing anything with the world of graphics. If that goes up from 260 to a meg of RAM, that would really make a huge difference. GPIO, not so sure I've run out of GPIO ports yet. Some more ADC would be nice, some more analog to digital conversion. Having more than one ADC channel would be good too, really, I think. And that might be nice. And PIOs are actually, if the stack size for PIO, or the list of instructions we could have for a given PIO state machine, that would actually make a difference in the complexity of some of the code that we could put in there. That might be fun to do, but who knows? Let's wait and see what comes out, and stay tuned. I will of course give you my review and thoughts on it as soon as it appears. Other new releases that came out, FreeRTOS kernel came out to version 11.1. There's actually some interesting stuff in this version. There is a new streamed batching buffer, which is quite interesting, especially for sort of protocol work, because it's when a task reads from it and it's not an empty stream, the batching buffer will actually block until enough data has accumulated in that buffer to have reached a threshold or a timer expires. Now that could be really quite useful, where your protocol requires a certain amount of data before you can actually start reading and doing anything useful with it. That's quite interesting. They've also fixed an issue, I think, in the task end scheduler function, so that it actually shuts down the timer and idle tasks, which I think is probably good. There's now defaults available for the FreeRTOS SMP kernel. So where you've got affinities, you can show which task you want to run on a particular core of Pico. You've got 2 cores on a Pico, and we can set which core we want it to run. You can now actually set a default so that all tasks will actually run with that default affinity set of which cores you want it to work from. And finally, they've changed the CMake configuration again. This is another little tweak to it. So now you can create a static library which contains both the kernel common code and the kernel port code. Now that's also a really nice feature, but it also means I need to go and play with that again. That's something to add to the list of things to do, but actually, a good thing to do. It is a little bit weird in my builds. I have 2 static libraries that I'm linking with. if we could reduce that to 1 through CMake, that sounds like a really positive thing. More stuff coming out. So last month, Ubuntu Noble Numbats came out. That's the 2404 long-term release for Ubuntu, and I finally tried that out on the Raspberry Pi 5 and got that installing. That wasn't as simple to install as I perhaps would have hoped, possibly because I'm installing, well, actually because I'm installing it on an NVMe SSD. Installing it onto an SD card is fine and it works perfectly well, but it gave me a couple of problems with crashing during the final configuration stage of install on my NVMe SSD. I was able to get it to working because I knew what I was doing. I was able to mount and reconfigure the system and then reboot it, and I got it up and running. So that's fine, but yeah, not quite as easy as I hoped, and I know there have been some other little problems with this release. On the side of Raspberry Pico development on this release, and let's face it, that's what most of you on this channel will be interested in. That actually works fine. I was able to install the Pico SDK and get it working nicely. Once again, you do need to install a package before running the install scripts for the Pico SDK for the pkg-config package, and that fixes all the install problems. And if you want to use the Raspberry Pi debug probe or Pico debug probe, and why wouldn't you? That's certainly how I flash all my code onto my Picos. Then you need to put in the UDEV rules for the CMIS device, but that's just as we did for 2204 and works fine. I will update my course and put in some notes in that for my course on getting started with this stuff over on Udemy. And this week, another exciting release. It's all release season, isn't it? We had ROS 2 Jazzy Jalesco came out, and this first release to run on the Raspberry Pi 5. It's a long-term support release, which is great, and those tend to be the releases I work on. I've managed to get that installed and working quite nicely. I did have to make sure to set the Qt platform for RViz2 environmental variable to XCB, sorry. Otherwise RViz2 falls over. But apart from that, it works. MicroROS. Could I get MicroROS to work with my robots up and running with ROS 2? Yes, I've managed to get that up and running. But there was at least there was a few issues with that. MicroROS agent to run on Jalesco requires fast CDR version 2.2, and the current code for MicroROS agent is on fast CDR version 1. Oh, hi Phil, Philip, greetings from Belgium. Nice to have you with us. Now, there is really, fortunately, a pull request from Rhys Mainwaring to fix that and to actually update the fast CDR version to 2.2. And using that, I was actually able to compile this up and get this working. So I now have MicroROS agent running on Jazzy, talking to my robots with MicroROS. So that's cool, and all, you know, I'm all in release week, so I'm really pleased with that, and really nice to have that up and running. If anyone wants some help or advice on getting this up and running, let me know, and I can always do a video on this. And finally, news. I finally got my new course out on Udemy, publishing that, talking about web services on the Raspberry Pi Pico as a client, that is, and that's up now and available on the Udemy platform. and this is the biggest course I've written yet. It's over 6 hours of lectures, 28 examples in C++, showing everything from connecting Wi-Fi right up to actually running full HTTPS stacks and TLS 1.3 in order to connect to services, and how all of that works. There's quite a bit of Python in there as well. I've got about 17 Python examples. That's so that we can have controlled server examples, and also we can explore services. Because one of the things I found with, if you're running and writing your own clients for web services, is you really want to do some exploration to understand what that service is, how it's going to respond in different situations. And that's tricky to do in C++ inside of Pico. You want a bit more dynamics than that, and Python's a good example for that as a tool. So the course really gives you all of the skills in order to build, explore, and indeed debug these web services, actually putting in proxies and being able to understand what's really going on, which is fabulously useful. I connect to 4 internet web services as examples on the course: ipgeolocation.io to work out exactly where you are, or where I think you roughly are, Open Weather Map to give you forecasts, YouTube to give you subscriber rates, because who doesn't worry about subscriber rates? Well, certainly I do. And exchange rates to work out currency conversions, etc. Of course, nothing goes quite as smoothly as you'd like, and first week I've got the course up. The ipgeolocations.io service goes and does an update and changes itself to TLS 1.3 and a new TLS or handling on their side, and that breaks some of my code, which was really annoying, and a few of my students picked that up and stuff. So I fixed that. It turned out to be a problem in core HTTP library, and all fixed and soon up and running, but nothing's quite as smooth in launch as you'd like, is it? So things happen. So that's out there. If you want to know more about the course, drop me a message and I'll do that. There's some stuff on YouTube about it, or go over to Udemy and try it out. So those were the major bits of news that I picked up on. Exciting news around the potential for futures around RP2040s. Did I miss anything? Please do let me know, and I can make sure to mention it next time. And if anything you spot, do drop me a line and I will always make sure to give it a plug on the channel. So how about projects? What have I been up to and what's going on in my world? Well, a lot of stuff, of course, is coming out on the channel, or already been out on the channel, or will be out in the next week or so. So, I've done some more work around my RP2040 based, 6 degrees of freedom robot arm, the Highwonder XARM 1S, and playing around with that, controlling that from ROS. And there's some more videos due out on that. I need to do a bit more work on that, moving into this whole idea of controlling it as an arm and doing all of the kinematic algorithms. That's going to take me a few days, I think, to work out. My degree level maths isn't always up to it, so I need to actually think through some of that. But that's all coming and all good. And now, of course, I've got the new jazzy version of ROS 2 to play with in order to control that. So that'll be good. And I've been working also on this little badge here, using a TFT display to drive a little badge here. And there's some stuff coming out on that as well. It's been quite hard working with that, to be honest. This is one of the things that's got me going around memory buffers, and I have lack of memory on the Pico, because this little thing has 320 by 240 pixels, all of 2 bytes per pixel, which would give a frame buffer size of 150 kilobytes. We've only got 260 kilobytes to start with. It's really quite difficult, so I was hoping I could get some nice animations running on it, but right now it is not. It's only doing static image loading. I just don't have the RAM to be able to play with anything more than that. But yeah, nice little board, nice little stuff, whole load of stuff coming out for you to enjoy, including how to actually build up the PCB to mount it and get it all working. So those are the big projects I've been enjoying and working on. So the other thing I did was go and do some travelling and go up to Maker Central. And for those of you not in the UK, Maker Central is our sort of big maker conference or event that happens in the UK for amateur makers like us. So I was able to see, you know, some of these wonderful Star Wars droids that all people have built, which seem to have loads and loads of Arduinos in them. The number of Arduinos and servos in R2D2 is actually incredible, and they are really works of art, and I really want to build one, I must admit. And there's R2. Also, they had Robot Wars, and some of the robots from Robot Wars were in attendance. Johnny 5, more Robot Wars. Some great model makers making some amazing faces. His creature from Harry Potter, I just wanted to bung some servos in there and bring it to life. That would be fun. And I was even able to meet James Bruton, the great James Bruton, and he was riding around on his little bike there. So all cool stuff. So yeah, that was Maker Central. Fun. Yeah. Not a lot of Raspberry Pi Pico or our sort of development there, I must admit, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully next year some more, I would hope. So what's the plans for the channel? What's going on my channel? Where next? Well, continuing my broadcast schedule of Thursdays. Full video blog, probably around 20 minutes a time, going deep down into a particular build or subject. Sundays then will be a short or a live stream, and Tuesdays will be a 3-minute summary or round about 3 minutes. I'm having trouble keeping them to 3 minutes. Some of them are creeping up to 5, but basically a summarized version of the full blog. The shorts. I don't know, my shorts are still working. I don't really get the views from you guys, and I don't know. It's so difficult trying to put something that's actually worthwhile and interesting into less than a minute of content. I really need to think about this and go at this again. Suggestions or ideas always welcome and appreciated, but yeah, it's yeah, shorts, I don't know. Not working. So the other thing, of course, that's live now on the channel is that super thanks button. So under each video there is a thanks button where you can specify and thanks or hit and say thank you for my content. It gives you the opportunity to basically buy me a virtual coffee, which I really appreciate. So, you know, if I really am helping you out, if it's uni assignments or if it's, you know, projects that I've helped you out with, or you know, my ideas are just really, really appealing, then do buy me a virtual coffee. I would really appreciate it. And thank you for your support, because that's what keeps this channel going. So yeah, of course, you know, there are all the other social channels outside of YouTube, and there's still stuff going out on those. and I will keep posting interesting ideas on Instagram, X, etc. Do follow me on those channels. I do appreciate it. So let's do some Q&A. What's going on? What are the questions coming in this week? So a couple of questions I had. One was, could I have a file system in Flash? And of course, yeah, on the Raspberry Pi Pico, you can of course set up a file system in Flash. I've done some examples showing file system usage via a USB drive, and I've got a video coming up that I'm working on at the moment around showing file systems on an SD card and how we could use that with the Pico. If you want to do one in Flash, then I think the library to look at and the examples to look at are something called LittleFS. And Oyama-san has done an excellent little example over for the Pico, and you can find his work over on GitHub. Just remember that a genuine Pico only has 2 megabytes of flash, so there isn't a great deal of space, because that's where you're putting your code as well to share for file systems. So it's not like there's a big repository there. Of course, if you choose to go down the route of another RP2040 board and not Raspberry Pi board, then there are boards out there with certainly 16 meg of RAM or flash, which are definitely available. I think I've seen a 32 meg board as well, but there's certainly 2 or 3 suppliers have got 16 meg boards available that might be what you want in order to have a little bit more flash space for file systems. Another quick question was, could I explain PWM on the Raspberry Pi Pico? Yeah, sure. I mean, PWM is actually really easy on the Pico. And RP2040 has got 16 PWM channels, which create 8 slicers. So these are what allow us to create square waves of different frequencies and different Mach space ratios. There are a few gotchas with them which you need to be careful of, though, but I've certainly fallen over. But fortunately, I've got a video coming up this Thursday that's going to be a deep dive into PWM, how to drive that to flash and LED, and some of these gotchas that you need to worry about when you're designing for the PWM on the Pico. So why not check that out and have a look at that on Thursday? Let me know what you think afterwards. So those were the pre-canned questions that I was able to prepare for. And looking over at live chat, although we know it's sunny in Belgium, there are no live questions, so no live conversations to have this week, I'm afraid. So that really brings us to the end of today, and to say thank you for joining me for the live stream. I'll do another one in June. Let me know what you think of the live stream. Let me know what's interesting and questions. And if you've got any projects you'd like me to mention, then please do drop me a message and let me know, and I can drop them in for the next session in June, and I'll look forward to it. Until then, keep tinkering and take care. Bye bye for now.